that you're taking, then why didn't Nick Foles play in the Pro Bowl last year? Or Tom Brady, why didn't they play in the Pro Bowl last year? Because it's worthless, especially when you have a playoff game, and especially when you have, in this case, an opportunity to make millions of dollars. Let's look at Jake Butt. Do you guys remember Jake Butt? Michigan tight end, supposed to be a first-round pick. Well, he played in the 2016 Orange Bowl. You know what happened? Tore his ACL. Lost out on millions of dollars. He's in the league. He wasn't a first-round pick. He's not making the money he could have made. And he actually just tore his ACL again. Leonard Fournette, LSU. Christian McCaffrey, Stanford. You know what they did when they had the bowl game that was absolutely meaningless? They sat out. Look at McCaffrey, what he's doing. He just won me probably $200 in fantasy this weekend. His career's been pretty good, right? You can't sit here and blame Blake Cashman for sitting out of a Quick Lanes Bowl. You just can't. Plain and simple. It's funny because coaches, they get a bonus when they go to a bowl game. PJ Fleck, how much money did he get to go to a bowl game? Well, what does Blake Cashman get? A plane ride to a Quicken Lanes Bowl? It really is ridiculous because bowl games, other than the national championship or the college football playoff, it's all this. It's all this for the university, players, whatever. Just playing a game. Just entertain us. Entertain us. Everyone else sits back, enjoys. The university makes money. The fans get this. The players, Blake Cashman, well, he's being criticized for not playing in a Quicken Lanes Bowl against Georgia Tech, who is 7-4, and the Gophers are 6-6. Donnell Green, starting left tackle. He said he's going to forego the Quicken Lanes Bowl. Vikings offensive tackle. Don't blame him. Don't. Especially when they're not getting paid. They get paid, there is a completely other side to this. If they're getting paid and they're under contract, whatever it may be, if it's advertising, I believe that student athletes should be able to create ads for themselves. If someone wants to sponsor them, let them do it. Because you obviously can't get paid the same Alabama football team does than the lacrosse team does. You can't. And don't tell me equal pay, equal pay. Well, if that's the case, why isn't everyone making the same amount of money? You're punishing the rich. You're punishing the successful businesses in life. What, is McDonald's going to make the same money at Burger King because they're in the same business? No, McDonald's is more successful, so they're up here. Burger King's over here, somewhere in that range. I don't know the exact range, but you can't sit here and punish not only the programs, but the athletes who put it on the field every single game, and they get nothing. I'll give you the perfect example. If I told you, because I know everyone loves to say this, well, I would work for free if college was paid. Okay. So if I asked you, I said, hey, come work for me. Come work for my clothing shop. Sales are a little down. Everything's fine, though. You're getting your pay. You're getting schooled paid and everything like that. And I said to you, hey, can you just draw some designs for me? The company's getting slow here. We need some sales. And I say, hey, can you create something? Pants, shirt, whatever it may be. And you give me some shirt, right? And you say, hey, here's the shirt I designed. I said, wow, I really like this. I think I'm going to sell it. And then it starts selling for millions. You know what I tell you? Well, I told you can work here and I'd pay your school, but nothing else. That's what the players are. It doesn't balance out, right? The same amount of tuition isn't the same amount of billions with a B. Billions, not millions, billions that these universities are making, that the NCAA is making. Yeah. You can go to college for free, right? Because we know at the end of the day, you're going to make way more money for us than we're going to make for you. Not everyone goes to the pros, obviously. Blake Cashman's got an opportunity. Stop sitting and blaming him that he's not competitive or that he doesn't care about the university, because that is a bunch of crap, and you know that. It's a Quick Lanes Bowl, guys. It's not the Super Bowl. If Blake Cashman wants to sit out to get some money and to save his, I'm not going to sit here and say save his career, but not further risk injury, please. What if you were in that position? And I always give this example, too. It's funny because the NCAA tries to control everything, and everyone has their opinion on it. So you're telling me that if I'm a high school senior, I'm not an athlete, but I'm a genius upstairs, and I am unbelievable with math, right? And a financial advisor or whatever, Morgan Stanley comes and says, hey, Steven, we want you to work here for millions of dollars, right? Who is anyone to tell me that I can or can't do that? The NCAA does that with NBA guys who obviously were able to go to the NBA from high school. They don't let them do that anymore. It's controlled. The NCAA is all about this. And if they tell you something different, they're lying to you. They're conmen. I don't know what to say. So next time you think, when you see Blake Cashman, I don't know if he's traveling with the team or not. He may not. Don't sit here and blame him for sitting out for the Quicken Lanes Bowl. Because I know it's very important for all of you that the 6-6 Gophers make sure they win a game against the ACC and Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. Before Week 16 begins, I want to kind of get into the Viking playoff scenario with everyone, kind of tell them the clinching scenarios, and honestly, who you would want to play. I'll kind of break that down for you right now. Let's begin with the Vikes, 7-6-1. They're 6 right now in the wild card. So right now, if the playoffs ended, they would play at Chicago, Soldier Field, probably the third time between the two because they are playing in Week 17 in 2 weeks. So they're going to play the Bears right now if the season ended. But there's some chance here that it starts to flip-flop a little. First of all, let's look at the Vikings' perspective. They play the Lions, who Matt Stafford is not practicing so far this week. We could see Matt Castle, who actually played for the Vikes, if you remember that, for a little stint. They also play the Bears, like I said, in Week 17. You don't know if the Bears are going to be playing their starters at that point. They just clinched the NFC North. And the only way that the Bears would, assumingly play their starters is if they're still in reach of that number 2 seed, and that is with the Rams. The Rams are 11-3. The Bears are 10-4 right now. If the Bears win out and they finish 12-4, and the Rams finish 1-1, the Bears would get the tiebreaker over the Rams because of head-to-head matchups. Obviously, the Bears took care of the Rams a few weeks ago. So that's something to keep an eye on. The only thing that I'll say regarding that is the Rams have the 3-11 Cardinals next week, and then they're home against the 49ers. Both teams combined for 7 wins in that sense. So I don't think that the Rams are going to have any issues wrapping up that second seed, but I've seen crazier things. Look at what the 49ers did last week against Seattle. So that can definitely be up into consideration. So you're looking at those two things at the number 2 seed, because that would definitely affect the Vikings. The Rams finish, we assume they finish 13-3. Then the Vikings would be, the 6th wild card spot if everything kind of goes as planned. Now, another scenario, if the Vikings, who have the Lions and the Bears, win out, and the Vikings finish 9-6-1, and Seattle, who is the 5th seed in the wild card right now, loses to the Chiefs, which is very likely this weekend. They could lose to the Chiefs, who are 11-3. Then they go on to play the Cardinals. So say the Vikings finish 2-0 to finish up the season. They beat the Lions, they beat the Bears, which puts them at 9-6-1. And the Seahawks lose to the Chiefs, but beat the Cardinals. They would be 9-7. The Vikings would move into the 5th seed of the wild card round. And right now, presumably nothing changes, they would play the Cowboys. Now, what team would you want to play right now? You look around the league, the Cowboys obviously cooled off and lost to the Colts, got shut out. The Bears, you've lost to at Soldier Field. I think they're both, honestly, the best matchups scenarios that I could ask for. If you're looking at a Bears team, Trubisky's never played a playoff game. This is Matt Nagy's first playoff game as a head coach. This is probably, I would assume, maybe first or second playoff game for Khalil Mack. This is a very young Bears team that doesn't have the quarterback. I still don't believe in Mitchell Trubisky. You're not going to sell me on him. So if you tell me that the Vikings need to go into Chicago, I'm not going to sit here and say we'd be favorites, because we wouldn't. But that's a favorable matchup, I think, personally. Another thing about this is, if the Bears play their starters, right, Week 17, and just say that the Vikings, because if the Vikings win this week and the Eagles and Redskins lose, they've clinched. The Vikings clinched. Say the Bears are playing for that number 2 spot. If the Bears beat the Vikings, they'd be 2-0 on the year. How about the ultimate revenge of beating them in the wild card? It's very hard to beat teams, obviously, 3 times in a season. The ultimate revenge would be if the Vikings beat the Bears after going 0-2 to them. Now, another matchup that we could possibly see, like I said before, if the Seahawks go 1-1 and the Vikings go 2-0, a lot of scenarios, but you look at, listen, let's be honest here. If you're a Viking fan, you look at the Lions, you got to beat the Lions. They'll beat the Lions. And then you'll see, I think that the Vikings can easily beat the Bears full strength when they're at their best, like I've talked about in the show today, that we haven't seen them at their best, so it's hard to get that feel. But you got to assume the Vikings are going to figure something out sooner or later. You finish 9-6-1, and the Seahawks split. You're playing the Cowboys, who quite frankly, I still don't believe in. I really don't. I think that they played the Saints at the wrong time, at the right time. They got shut out by the Indianapolis Colts, who have they've played better, but they've had some bad losses. They lost to the Redskins. They lost to the Titans. They've had some losses the Panthers. Dallas is definitely beatable. You look at Dallas and Chicago, they both have kind of the same formula to win. Run the ball, don't put it in the quarterback's hands, and play defense. That's not, to be honest with you, that's not how you win playoff games to me. You need to have the quarterback. I get you have to establish the run. Defense is very important, but you can't hide your quarterback for so long. You get exposed in the playoffs. You do. Your quarterback gets exposed. Just ask the Vikings, 2012 when Peterson ran for 2,000 yards and you had to put in Joe Webb? They got exposed. The Texans got exposed with Brian Hoyer. It just happens. It happens in the NFL. It happens in the playoffs. You can't hide your quarterback for so long, and it's a different game once it gets to mid-January. It is. If I'm the Vikings right now, you got the Bears and the Cowboys as possible wild card opponents. You're both going to go on the road. I would prefer to go to Dallas because I just, there's something about going outside with this Viking team that kind of concerns you. I would sign up to go to Dallas or Chicago any day. Any day. And then, like you said, you take it from there. You win that game. You're probably playing, I think the way this season pans out, I think we finish as a 5 seed. I really do. I think they finish 2-0 to end the season. I think they beat the Lions. I think the Vikings beat the Bears. And then I think Seattle splits. And I really do believe that the Vikings will get in as a 5th seed, which means, bearing that the Bears win their game in their playoff wild card round, they would go and play the Saints, and the Vikings would have to travel to New Orleans for that divisional round. A lot of revenge on that game. And like I said, the Vikings were right in that game. They had a chance to bury them in the first half, 13-10 until Adam Thielen fumbles in their territory. They really, this season can be completely made up. Everyone will forget the Daniel Carlson miss, the Rams, running all over the Vikings defense, the domination of the Patriots. They will forget all of that with a little run here. Those are your scenarios. You tell me, who would you rather play if you're the Vikings right now? Would you rather go and play Chicago and play Mitchell Trubisky, who hasn't proven anything yet? Don't tell me that he's proven anything in that defense. Or would you rather go to Dallas, to Jerry World, and try to stop Zeke and the completely overrated, if he even is anymore, Dak Prescott? Defense is good, don't get me wrong. But if I'm the Vikings, I'm saying put the ball in the hands of Mitchell Trubisky and Dak Prescott and say, beat me. That's what I'm saying. Great show. Fun show as always. Blake Cashman, don't blame him. And the Vikes. The Vikes got 2 more games left. Expecting some big things on Sunday from Kevin Stefanski and the group. Dalvin Cook back in action. He looks good. Let's try not to choke this season away. Let's get in here with 2 wins. And like I said, we'll see what happens. They're playing with house money. We'll talk to you Sunday.